Ooh, it's pretty dark in here. Pretty dark. So, Game 1 of the 2022 NBA Finals. Hope you guys can see me okay. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining. Thank you. Let me know if you guys could hear me properly. Just give me a thumbs up or shout in the chat. So, with that, how about that epic fourth quarter? Boston Celtics, an absolute shooting clinic. Marcus Smart didn't even play most of the fourth quarter. It's been the Al Horford and Derrick White show. Derrick White with the green lights, knocking down the threes, tripling. He's been absolutely on a tear for the last week and a half in the playoffs. And that is one of the most underrated midseason acquisitions. The team got rid of Dennis Schroeder. They got rid of Enes Kanter. And now having Derrick White, who just had the game of his life. He couldn't miss out there. I mean, Steph Curry was doing Steph Curry things in the first half, but Derrick White literally turned into Steph Curry in the fourth quarter. Big time shot after big time shot. Golden State, they blew it. Golden State, they just couldn't do it that much. So Draymond Green with all that flex, all those like muscles, Draymond Green celebrating, and Jordan Poole's turnover. An absolute travesty by the Golden State Warriors tonight. They got outscored 40-16 in the fourth quarter. They were up 15 points with 135 left. The score was 87-72 Golden State. And you know what happened in the final 13 and a half minutes of the game? The Celtics just went bizarre. They just absolutely humiliated Golden State, outscoring them 48-21 in the final 14 minutes. Let me repeat that. 48-21, the Boston Celtics outscored Golden State in the final 14 minutes of the game. You couldn't even believe stuff like this is happening. I mean, the Boston Celtics played some of the best basketball, reminding me of the 2014 San Antonio Spurs when they executed down the stretch in Miami and they couldn't miss a shot. That was the Boston Celtics tonight. And the magnificent Al Horford with a playoff career high with shooting 6 of 8 from three-point land. Al Horford knocking down 6 threes tonight. That was a big difference maker. Big Al Horford still having some of these good games once out of every 4 games. He had his best moments against Brooklyn, especially against Milwaukee when they down 2-1. Al Horford responded. 26 big points for 35-year-old Al Horford, who outscored Draymond Green 26-4. Draymond Green, although he was facilitating, he was rebounding. A 2 of 12 Draymond brick game. He went 2 of 12. Draymond Green. So Al Horford absolutely lit him up. And the Boston Celtics should feel extremely, extremely confident and great about themselves just clicking in the fourth quarter like this, because I just don't see another significant game from Derrick White and Al Horford, because Al Horford, he's going to bring it in some games, but when you need him to step up, he looks like 2018 Al Horford tonight. I mean, Al Horford's playoff run and Boston just giving him another chance and getting rid of Kemba Walker and getting Big Al, that's one of the biggest moves of all time. And it will go down as one of the biggest all-time moves if Boston's able to win the championship. And given the fact that none of the Celtics had any NBA Finals experience prior to today, and they came out and played like this in the fourth quarter, man, you got to give kudos to this team. This is a team on a mission. They're locked in right now. 15 guys all on the same page. And it also doesn't matter if a guy like Jason Tatum, who's the best player, he was absolutely horrendous tonight from the field. Jason Tatum couldn't buy a shot. And when I saw that Steph Curry was outplaying Jason Tatum, and Tatum ended up shooting 3 of 17 from the field, and the fact that Tatum missed 14 shots and he only scored 12 points, and Boston still won this game, they won this game by double digits. Who would have ever thought? So Jason Tatum had one of his worst games in the playoffs, but the Celtics got his back. Jaylen Brown was very aggressive in attacking, and the resiliency of this team. The Boston Celtics are a veteran team. Even though none of those guys have made the finals. They've been in the postseason pretty much every year. These young guys with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I mean, they're very polished as a duo, and both of them just keep attacking relentlessly. And it was JB who really set the tone in the beginning of the fourth, getting to the basket. And even though sometimes he just stops out of nowhere, stuck in traffic, and couldn't pick up his dribble or throw some of those risky passes. I mean, Jaylen Brown made things happen for the Boston Celtics. They would not have won this game without the aggressiveness of Jaylen Brown. They would not have won this game without the magnificent Al Horford, who was just lighting it up in all areas of the court. Big Al Horford, perhaps a future Hall of Famer, most likely, because Al Horford, 35-year-old in his 15th season, he was the best player in the second half tonight. He was absolutely sensational. Wow. So the Boston Celtics, Ime Udoka, looking like one of the best hires. I mean, he's looking like a rookie Steve Kerr, pretty much. He could be he outcoached Steve Kerr tonight. He absolutely outcoached Steve Kerr. I mean, Golden State has some questionable decisions. Like, why the hell was Steve Kerr playing 38-year-old Andre Iguodala, who hasn't played in how many games, in the fourth quarter? Where, when I saw Iguodala, he provided some good minutes. Don't get me wrong. He had his stretches, but Andre Iguodala is just not the type of guy that you can play more than 10 minutes a game at this stage of his career. I mean, he did have 7 points tonight, but I mean, when it was, I believe, Jaylen Brown attacking Iguodala on the chest in the first half, and Iguodala was down in pain, that he's old when he's grimacing in pain like that, when he's trying to foul him. So Iggy was hurt, and in one of the passes in the fourth quarter where he couldn't catch, that just shows his old age. Young Iguodala would have caught that. So I thought Steve Kerr made a mistake playing too much Iguodala. He should have went to Otto Porter or perhaps Kawhi Looney. Kawhi Looney, he made an impact in this game too. He was getting a ton of offensive rebounds, keeping the glass alive. And Looney's been a spark for Golden State. He had 9 rebounds today, and 6 of them was offensive. So 6 offensive rebounds. The entire Boston Celtics team had just 7 total offensive rebounds. So Looney made his impact. Golden State had a shit ton of second chance points with that. And the fact that they lost in the fourth quarter, I mean, this reminded me of the Houston Rockets getting hot against the Clippers in the 2015 second round. Remember when Corey Brewer and Josh Smith just couldn't miss from deep? That was Derrick White and Al Horford tonight against Golden State. I mean, that actually reminded me of that. When Jason Tatum wasn't doing much, he didn't have it tonight offensively from a scoring standpoint. It's like when James Harden didn't have it in 2015, but Josh Smith and Corey Brewer went bizarre. That's Al Horford and Derrick White at its finest. So that reminded me of that game. And for Golden State to just get slapped in the fourth quarter, they got outscored by 24 points in the fourth. I mean, you get outscored like that, and they couldn't close out. Boston was just hot, and they just kept attacking. And they played pretty much like the 2014 version of San Antonio today. And kudos to the Boston Celtics for being resilient and just keep on fighting back, being super aggressive, because Golden State, every time Golden State has a 15-point lead in the third quarter where they shine all playoffs, teams like Dallas and the Denver Nuggets, they would have gotten blown out. They would have just had an early night and Golden State would have went up 1-0. But they're not playing Denver with Jokic missing his stars. They're not playing a Dallas team with not that many talent. They're playing this Boston Celtics team where Golden State, they all have to play defense and be committed, because 5 guys in Boston can really hurt you. And with Al Horford shooting the ball this insanely good like that, and Derrick White just not missing the threes, Derrick White, the way how Derrick White played today, I mean, he would be the second best player on the Denver Nuggets outside of Jokic if they were playing Golden State that series. What Nugget role player even had a game like what Derrick White had in the playoffs against Golden State? He was just unconscious. I mean, what a performance by White. Used to be playing for the San Antonio Spurs. It's already Al Horford's 36th birthday. Whoa. Yeah. Whoa. Al Horford just turned 36 years old. That is magnificent to share. Al Horford, wow. You are absolutely correct. Shout out to Little Laxity's gaming channel for the fact that Al Horford's already 36 years old. He's playing like he's 26. I mean, Al Horford has been a winner everywhere he goes. And the fact that Al Horford, for the first time this season, has an All NBA first teamer in Jason Tatum in his 15-year career, the only time Al Horford had a true superstar on his team. And look what they're doing right now. It took him like what, 140 games to reach the NBA Finals, finally having a first team All NBA guy. Before that, Al Horford's like best player on his team. Who was it? Like, was it 2017 Isaiah Thomas? Was it Joe Johnson from Atlanta? I mean, those were some of the best guys that Al Horford has played with. But now he has superstar Tatum and all-star Jaylen Brown. I mean, would you say that Jaylen Brown's already better than Atlanta Hawks Joe Johnson, like as better teammates with Al Horford? Because Al Horford finally getting help. Like, he's after game one, he would be the Finals MVP right now. Al Horford's he's just litting it up. What a perfect stretch five. What a resilient career after it looked like everything was gone when he was signed with the 76ers and he couldn't really play and fit in with that system. And from leaving OKC early, I mean, Al Horford probably knew what he was doing, though. I mean, he left early for OKC. They told him to go home early. We're going to still give you your paychecks. To having a lots of time resting, to saving his legs and trying to perform his highest at the right moments. This is vintage Al Horford right here. I mean, he just had one of his best games outside of that dirty piece that he had against Milwaukee this season. That was his career high. And speaking of Al Horford, this is his second highest. This is tied for his second highest postseason career points in a game. It's tied for his second highest. This is one of the best Al Horford games. And what a postseason run. He's one of the biggest X factors we have ever seen. I mean, Al Horford at 36 years old, I mean, you think there's a chance that Al Horford, if he has like two more great games and there's two more times where he scores 20 plus, what are the chances now from a sports betting perspective that Al Horford could potentially be Finals MVP? How crazy would that be if that was the case? That was insane. And wow, Al Horford. I mean, remember, Al Horford versus Karl Anthony Towns used to be a big debate in 2018. Like, who would you rather have in the playoffs? And it's 2022. Al Horford's in his first NBA Finals. And I would still take Al Horford over Karl Anthony Towns in the postseason because of moments like these and situations like these. Al Horford knows when to tune it up. He's a great knockdown shooter. You just can't leave him open. And he's very poised and calm. He also does all the little things too. And he's just been proven to be at the right place at the right time, making all the clutch plays out there. And this is a vintage Al Horford that what I'm seeing. Like, Al Horford, obviously, he's nowhere near as a talent as someone like a Dirk Nowitzki type player, but Al Horford's gutsy performance and his mentality and attitude reminds me of Dirk Nowitzki's 2011 attitude when he wasn't won a championship yet. Like, Dirk Nowitzki just left everything out there on the line, and he had a lot of monster games. Of course, Al Horford's not as good, but Al Horford has that same type of vintage mentality, and he has that fire desire in him and trying to win his first championship. Because Al Horford, he's 36 years old, and he knows that this is probably his last real shot at a ring, and this is probably his last real shot at ever playing at this high of a level. But regardless of what happens for the rest of the way, Al Horford has more than proven himself this season, and he's one of the biggest surprises, positive for the Boston Celtics. Well, Al Horford, if he wins a championship this year, is he going to have his jersey number retired for the Boston Celtics if he can get them one ring? Think about it. Al Horford, when he signed with Boston instead of Atlanta, look at the Celtics getting to the conference finals. He helped out guys like IT. He helped IT become fit for MVP. And Al Horford, he also led the Boston Celtics team when they were down their two stars in 2018, a game away from the finals as the best player on that team. And Al Horford, wow, he's just been sensational all playoffs. If you guys haven't watched my YouTube video I made a couple months ago about how good is playoff Al Horford, I highly recommend you to check it out. Like maybe tomorrow, if you have time in between games, because game 2 is not until Sunday. So we got like 68 hours until tip off from game 2, if my math is correct. But Al Horford has just been unbelievable. I mean, he is absolutely the greatness of Al Horford is what the Boston Celtics represents. He bleeds green and white. I mean, Al Horford is the definition of a winning Boston Celtic. He has that Kevin Garnett attitude in him. So Al Horford has been everything positive for Boston. Kyrie Irving has been everything negative for Boston. And Kyrie and KD sitting at home watching their former teams go at it. But you have to feel happy for Al Horford, and you have to feel good if you're Boston. I mean, you still game one on the road. You still game one, and guess what? Game two, it's almost like do or die time for Golden State. I mean, obviously you're not gonna count Golden State out, but Golden State's gotta play better in the fourth quarter, and they just can't let Boston get hot. Like this is a vintage performance by the Boston Celtics. Like this is what their winning streak was in the second half of the season. He's been absolutely insane. This is one of the best fourth quarters I have ever seen from an NBA Finals standpoint. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than this, man. Like Boston, just sensational all game. Jaylen Brown had 24 points. I mean, he's been aggressive attacking. Derrick White was a plus 25 tonight. Whoa. And Jaylen Brown was a plus 22. Those guys, huge difference makers. And how about one of the forgotten clutch players from this game for Boston, Peyton Pritchard, off the bench, 16 points. No, 16 minutes, my bad. 8 points, a plus 14, 6 rebounds. Peyton Pritchard was playing good minutes. And how would you have ever thought Peyton Pritchard out of Oregon would play in the fourth quarter in an NBA Finals game and play this well like that? And he was guarding Steph Curry out there too. So you got to feel happy if you're Peyton Pritchard, who's been insanely impactful for Boston. He's a plus. He's been a plus. I mean, he's showing a lot of confidence. And I see Peyton Pritchard. I'm not sure when his contract is up, but Peyton Pritchard, I can see him get like a solid deal, maybe like a 4-year, $50 million type deal in the future, because Peyton Pritchard has been proven to be an impactful role player. He's been absolutely special tonight. So, how about, and I also saw a stat on ESPN stats for information. Golden State has played like over 120 something NBA Finals games with all those guys combined. Boston Celtics 0. And you know the two other times where like none of the players when they got to the finals never played in the finals game. That was the 91 Bulls with Michael Jordan, and that was the 97 Jazz with Stockton and Malone. And you know what happened in both those games? Both those teams, I mean, the 91 Bulls won the championship, but even Michael Jordan in his first finals game, he kind of had an off night. I mean, if anybody remember and watched game one of the 91 finals, Michael Jordan missed a potential game tying shot. He missed a jumper where the Bulls could have tied it, and the Lakers actually survived that game. I believe the score was maybe like 93, 91, something like that. I'm just trying to think on top of my head, but I mean, the Lakers were the more experienced team in 91, and Sam Perkins hit a go ahead 3-point shot, and the Bulls ended up losing. But you know what happened? I mean, the Bulls ended up winning game 2, 3, 4, and 5, and the Bulls looked like the more experienced team because they were younger and more athletic. But even prime Michael Jordan lost his first NBA Finals game, and because that was his first experience in the NBA's biggest stage. I mean, even MJ was human. And look at the 97 Jazz in the first game against Michael Jordan, who was playing in over 100 postseason games. You know what happened that game? On a Sunday afternoon, I believe. The mailman don't deliver on Sundays because you know why? Scottie Pippen, when he shit talked Karl Malone, when Karl Malone was on the line, he whispered, "Oh, the mailman don't deliver on Sundays." And the Jazz had a chance to take the lead. It was tied 82-82. And you know what happened in Karl Malone and Utah's first finals game? He missed not one, but 2 free throws down the stretch. And you know what happened next? Michael Jordan, with his experience, the game-winning walk-off buzzer beater, game 1 of the 97 finals. Game 1. So Michael Jordan, that was actually, I believe, the last time there was a buzzer beater in the NBA Finals to win the game. So you talk about the inexperienced Utah Jazz in 97, they got a taste of that Michael Jordan medicine the Michael Jordan special in their first finals game, and Michael Jordan got a taste of the Sam Perkins and Magic Johnson special in his first finals game. And Boston, it looked like they were gonna get a taste of Golden State's dynasty special, but Boston's like, nah, fuck that. Like, we're balling out. Like, you're not gonna stop us. We're gonna shoot better from you from three. Cause if Boston in the first half, they were actually matching shot for shot from Golden State. And I was thinking to myself, like, if Boston's trying to keep this up, if they're gonna try to outshoot Golden State, I mean, they're gonna lose, right? Because Golden State, they have like two of the best shooters all time. And you don't want any team trying to outshoot Golden State like that. And Boston did make some good adjustments. Like late in the second quarter, when they got back in the game, they had Jason Tatum posting up Steph Curry a little bit. And Steph Curry got whistled for a foul, I believe, against Jaylen Brown down low. So Boston, I predicted what they were gonna do, and they attacked Curry a little bit. And because if they were just trading bombs for Golden State, no teams wants to do that. Like, you would have to be insanely absurd or overly confident if you're gonna try to trade 3-point shots with Golden State if you're Boston. But Boston beat Golden State at their own game today. 21 for 41 from deep. That's 51%. Golden State shot well from deep too. They went 19 of 45. But you know what happened in the fourth quarter? Boston went like 15 of 22. They shot 68% from the field in the fourth. And that is just the fourth quarter, in my opinion, is going to be an outlier of the series because I don't imagine any of these teams outscoring one another by 24 points in the fourth quarter. So it's just crazy. Boston going for the sweep. Nah, I mean, I'm not gonna go that far. I mean, Golden State, they're such a good team. They got great chemistry. I mean, they're not getting swept, dude. Like Golden State, like it would absolutely take plenty of games like this for Boston to pull off Golden State because this is just one game. And Golden State has proven they can rebound. I mean, this is the first home loss for Golden State all playoffs. And you look at Steph Curry's resume in the postseason. I believe his series record is 21-4. And look at all the 4 times that Steph Curry's Warriors have lost in the postseason. The first time was 2013. Yeah, he lost to a better San Antonio Spurs team. That was a rebound away from winning the finals. That year they blew it to Miami. But Golden State took San Antonio to 6 games. And that's when you know that team was special because they fought tough against the Western Conference champs. And in 2014, Golden State lost Game 7 to the more experienced Prime CP3 and Prime Blake Griffin's team. Prime Blake Griffin's. And you know how? Because Golden State, they didn't have Andrew Bogut for that series. If they had Bogut, they possibly could have beaten the Clippers in 2014. And they didn't have home court, but that was a very competitive series. They were still really young. That was Steph Curry's second postseason appearance. And 2016, Golden State lost because LeBron and Kyrie both just balled out of their mind. Plus Draymond's suspension. Andre Iguodala had a back injury, so he wasn't that explosive. Andrew Bogut got hurt in Game 5. Festus Ezeli was terrible, and Festus Ezeli hasn't even played an NBA game since Game 7 of the 2016 Finals. And Steph and Klay both played terrible to the point that LeBron and Kyrie had to play. Whoa! Lots of spams here. Gotta remove these spams. I wasn't thinking about reading my comments, but these spams are just getting absolutely ridiculous. My God, man, these people, they got nothing better to do. Just block the spam. So apologies, guys. I didn't get rid of them earlier. So what was I saying? Damn. So yeah, okay, Steph Curry, yeah. So he only lost 4 times in the playoffs. In 2016, LeBron and Kyrie had to be masterful, and Steph and Klay literally shit the bed in Game 7. They got outscored by Draymond combined. So Draymond was the only one hitting shots. So it took LeBron and Kyrie to play their very best and Steph to play below average and Klay to play below average in Game 7 to Golden State to lose. And how did they lose in 2019? Kevin Durant obviously not being able to play like most of those finals and getting hurt in Game 5 and tearing his Achilles. And Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry was sensational in those 2019 finals. Kawhi Leonard had a lot of help, and Golden State lost because Klay Thompson, I mean, he tore his ACL. He was already banged up in that finals, and he had to miss game three. And when Danny Green fouled him in transition, Clay literally like tore his ACL, and the momentum was shifting towards Golden State. I mean, they were shifting towards Golden State. So Golden State could have won that game if Clay didn't get injured, and they possibly might have won Game Seven, but I'm not sure about that. But it would have to take almost a miracle in more games like this. So with all given all the Golden State's history with Steph, Clay, and Draymond, they're not an easy out in the NBA Finals. I mean, the Boston Celtics, they have to play just as good as tonight. I mean, Jason Tatum has to be feeling very fortunate right now because his team got his back this game, but he has to show up and deliver for his team if he wants to win like either games two or three. Because in game two, I mean, it's a must win for Golden State, in my opinion. You don't want to be down 0-2 getting into Boston in TD Garden where the crowd is rowdy and everyone's like hyped up. Like no team wants to play Boston in the NBA Finals, given the history of that franchise. I mean, playing at TD Garden in the finals is always a tough place to play. But with that, like, how about like Golden State? Like the beginning of this game, like it looked like Steph Curry might have dropped. Like, is you think he was going for 40? Like the way he was playing, he hit six threes in the first quarters. Like Boston's inexperience. The one important thing was Boston did not get rattled. I mean, Steph was just killing them. I mean, Robert Williams was rotating out really late to Steph, and Steph was making them pay. And also, Boston, they were kind of miscommunicating on defense. Like they were kind of falling asleep. And Golden State, like they know it's the finals. So Boston just woke up like in the middle of the first quarter where like Steph Curry was just unconscious and he couldn't miss a shot. Like you thought like Steph Curry was just out there just vintage and making the defensive player of the year look mediocre. And Steph did score 34 points in the game, and he did slow down in the second half. But he hit six of his seven threes in the first quarter alone. And I thought Klay Thompson had a pretty mediocre Klay Thompson game. He didn't really help much. I thought Andrew Wiggins was sensational. I thought he was great. And I thought Andrew Wiggins probably should have played more, in my opinion. Like he played 35 minutes in the game. And one thing that I don't like about Steve Kerr sometimes it backfires on him. I mean, Steve Kerr is way too conservative in resting his stars way too much. I mean, Steph Curry, Steph, he hurt his ankle. It looked like his ankle was hobbling a little bit. It didn't seem like it was going to be serious. But in the fourth quarter, when he went for that pump fake, the game was already over. But one knock on Steve Kerr, he does rest his star players a lot. Like Steph Curry only played like 38 minutes today. Andrew Wiggins played 35 minutes. I mean, Andrew Wiggins is some nights he looks like your second best player on the team. And Andrew Wiggins is 26 years old. He should be playing 40 minutes a game. I mean, he's the best perimeter defender the team has. I mean, he needs to be on Jaylen Brown or on Jason Tatum because Andrew Wiggins has some nice defensive possessions on JB and JT. And Andrew Wiggins only played 35 minutes tonight. And Jaylen Brown, he played 38. Jason Tatum played 42 minutes. And even though he struggled, I mean, this is the NBA Finals. I mean, it's a do or die situation. And Steve Kerr should be playing Steph Curry, I would say, closer to like 40, 42 minutes a game. And even though Curry doesn't play that many minutes like that, but I mean, you got to play your best player in these big moments. And Steve Kerr, many times, he likes to rest Steph Curry, maybe like squeeze in another minute or two. So, and what about Jordan Poole? He was the biggest absolute travesty of game one of the NBA Finals, who was looking like he's a sixth man of the year type guy. So he played terrible today. Jordan Poole only had 9 points, 2 of 7 from the field, 4 ugly turnovers. Having twice as many turnovers as field goals, that's not going to cut it. I mean, he was just not good today. I mean, some of his handles, like Jordan Poole, I get nervous every time. Like when he's trying to attack, it's like he's almost losing off balance. He's really low on the ground. I mean, against that Boston Celtics team, man, like you can't you can't try to be too cute with it like that. You could get away with it against teams like Dallas or the Denver Nuggets, but this is a Boston Celtics team who's top two on defense. With that said, do I feel that Curry chasing that Finals MVP to lead to a Kobe situation? That's a good point. That's a very good point. That is a very good point. I mean, if Steph Curry, how many shots did he attempt today? Steph Curry attempted 25 shots. Okay, but yeah, I mean, if a lot of Golden State players, if they're just cold, and Andrew Wiggins and other guys like Clay, if they don't have it, they could be troubling. But I do think Steph Curry cares about like more about winning. And I mean, Steph Curry's always been a great team player. Like some nights when Golden State is super hot and Steph Curry scores only like 10 points, Golden State can still win like that. And I would have never thought that Boston with Jason Tatum scoring just 12 points and shooting a horrendous 3 of 17, I couldn't believe that Boston was able to win a game with Jason Tatum shooting that bad. Because if Steph Curry has a bad game, and he's probably going to have some bad games in these finals, he might have a bad game three. Game three's always been his Achilles heel, like on the road, like Steph Curry. Like if Steph Curry has some bad games, Golden State can still win. And yeah, the media is pushing Curry to go for Finals MVP, but at the same time, it's about team basketball. And Boston played more like a team today than Golden State. Golden State has one of the best ball movements, best chemistries, but Boston, they played way better as a team today than Golden State by far. And I was surprised about that. And although Golden State always has good role players to make plays, I mean, the Celtics were extremely unselfish moving the ball. And how about this stat line? I mean, Boston had 33 assists over Golden State's 24. And Jason Tatum, I mean, he was a good facilitator. And that's one thing that heavily improved about his game. And Jason Tatum, like a couple years ago, he was averaging like what, 2 to 3 assists a game. He had 13 today. He had 13. So I do think that Golden State, they just got to start playing Golden State Warriors basketball and just play better on defense, and everybody be more involved, and Klay Thompson be more aggressive, because Jaylen Brown was not that aggressive. The broadcaster has the guts to mention Steve Kerr's sons, who does have a funny name, but you know what? The broadcaster is Mark Jones filling in for Mike Breen. So Mark Jones, he's black, so he could get away with saying Steve Kerr's son's name like that. I'll just leave it at that. Yep, the finals just getting started. I mean, Brown is closer to Kobe than Tatum. I don't know about that. I mean, Jaylen Brown has that Kobe aggressiveness when it comes to taking the ball to the basket, but Tatum's way more skilled with his footwork than Brown. I mean, Jaylen Brown, he's just not as complete yet. I mean, he goes hard, and you have to credit his resiliency. But I mean, JB, every time he drives down the lane, like when he senses those double teams, like he almost loses the ball. Like he doesn't know where to go in midair. Jaylen Brown's got to add those pump fakes to his game. Like how Luka Doncic was destroying Phoenix, how Luka was just driving inside and going for the pump fakes, and how calm he was. Jaylen Brown could be out of control at times. And yeah, Jason Tatum was very finesse today. I mean, Jaylen Brown had that Kobe Bryant attitude, and Jason Tatum, he needs to step up for Boston. Honestly, I mean they won one game. I mean that's one game under their belt, and now they stole home court advantage. And we have 6 more games left at least. And I predicted Golden State was going to win in 7. But I mean, if Boston can win like 2 of the next 3 and they can go up 3-1, that's absolutely trouble for Golden State. Absolutely trouble. And yeah, Jason Tatum has to demand the ball more. What Derrick White and Al Horford were missing. Because next game for Boston, because of Al Horford's age, I could see Big Al like go maybe like 2 of 8 from the field and score maybe like 6 points the next game. And I could see Jason Tatum going for 30. But Jaylen Brown has to continue playing Jaylen Brown. He really does. And Golden State, I mean, it seemed like they were going to beat Boston pretty easily. Many of those teams would have already quitted, but they were super resilient. I mean, Klay Thompson, he had a pretty average Klay game. Kevon Looney was pretty solid. He only played 25 minutes. I mean, do you guys think it's a better idea to just play Kevon Looney like 30 minutes a game? Like, F it. Like, we're not going to play like some of the bench guys like that and just have Kevon Looney just keep playing like this and producing, because Kevon Looney was great in the 2019 finals as well. I mean, he's a better rebounder than anyone Boston has, and he was just fighting the glass and giving extra opportunities. But if you're a Golden State Warriors fan, I mean, Steve Kerr has to coach better in a way. And Steph Curry, I mean, he had a sensational game like for the first pretty much like 3 quarters. And And Steph Curry, Golden State needs to step up because if Steph Curry doesn't play as well in game two, it could be trouble for Golden State. It really could be. If Boston becomes complacent and just lets Golden State have it after hitting a couple threes, I could see Golden State blowing out Boston in game two to tie the series. But this Boston Celtics team, oh my God, here you go again. Here you go again. I reported that guy, so hopefully he's gone for good. Clay and Poole does need to be more aggressive. Jordan Poole just cannot be too cute with it. If he thinks he's like messing around like regular season game, just hopping around, just trying to do all the spin move. This is the NBA Finals against a no joke defense. You can't just throw up weak stuff like that. Honestly, like like Jordan Poole, he has to be more alert. Steph Curry was very alert today. He was very aggressive, but after seeing Jordan Poole play today, he still has to take his game to another level. He still has to. And Clay Thompson, man, he just doesn't have that explosiveness. Jalen Brown's a way better basketball player than Clay Thompson at this stage of their careers. I don't think it's even close. But if there's games that Clay can play better, then it's just not good. Damn, how this guy keep going here? This is crazy. Yeah, these bots, they look like they're multiplying. So with that, yeah, Clay Thompson's got to step up. Like, is Clay Thompson gonna wait till Game Six, Clay, to really show up like that? Because if Boston has a 3-2 advantage in the finals, which they very well might. Game Six Clay in Boston Garden. If Game Six Clay can have a all-time performance at Boston, that would be the definition of epic Game Six Clay. But that's not an easy task. The Boston Celtics is given the course of their history, they're not an easy team to play in the NBA Finals. You look at 2010. Kobe Bryant needed insane defense. He wasn't shooting well against Boston, but Kobe played the great defense. He had all the clutch rebounds, and he was aggressive from games 1 to 7. He played pretty well game 1 to 6, to be honest. And Kobe was able to win. '08 Boston, they really locked down the Lakers with their defense. Boston Celtics basketball has been over the course of their franchise has been great defensively throughout the '80s era with Larry Bird, McHale, and Parrish. They locked up Hakeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson in 1986. They destroyed Moses Malone in '81. They gave the Magic Johnson's nickname Tragic Bronson in 1984. And this Celtics team, Steph Curry, are they gonna really just keep letting him like jack up shots? Yeah, I do think the media, they're putting way too much pressure on Steph to try to win a Finals MVP. But regardless of the situation, one Finals MVP is not really gonna change too much because a lot of the top 10 guys, most of them pretty much have multiple Finals MVPs. Besides Russell and Wilt, there wasn't a Finals MVP till '69. But all those other guys, man, like Steph Curry has proven himself how great he is in championship games. And yeah, he might fall short of a Finals MVP if Golden State doesn't win. But Steph Curry's legacy will elevate if he wins 4 titles and no Finals MVP. So what? A championship's a championship. At the end of the day, if other guys are hot and they're balling out for Golden State because they're trying to contain Curry, so be it. You much rather win a championship if you're Golden State and Steph Curry. And how about this? What if Steph Curry averages like 36 points a game in the finals and Golden State loses in 6 or 7 games and the second best player in the series is, let's say, like Jalen Brown averages like 23 a game and Steph Curry gets finals MVP on a losing effort? Would Steph Curry be happy with that? I don't think he would. I really don't think he would be. You'd rather win a championship and not get handed the award instead of getting it on a losing team. You win a championship any day of the week. That's not even a question. And all that conversation, it's just getting too overblown at this point because Steph Curry, I mean, A lot of people say he's top 10, but he's right at the 11, 12 range. I think he's like right there, almost right there with Hakeem Olajuwon, and he's right there with Kevin Durant. So Steph Curry's in that level. I mean, if he wins a Finals MVP, I'm still not sure if he's better than like Tim Duncan or Shaq, because those guys are like around that area. People forget Tim Duncan only has 2 Finals MVP and only Magic has 2. No, you're wrong about that. Tim Duncan has 3 Finals MVP and Magic Johnson has 3. And I don't think Finals MVP like are that highly valuable, because you know who many people consider a top 3 player in the NBA? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He has 6 championships, only 2 Finals MVPs. But so what? I mean, he won 6 rings. He won 6 championships. I mean, will LeBron's legacy get destroyed if he has 5 titles instead of 4, and Dwayne Wade won a Finals MVP in 2011? So what? It wouldn't damage. It would elevate LeBron's legacy even more if he was able to win in 2011, but D Wade gets Finals MVP. I mean, they are overrated in a way. And you know what? Paul Pierce won Finals MVP. Is he a top 25 player in the game? Hell no. Kevin Garnett did not win Finals MVP, but is he a top 25 player all time? Absolutely. So even though Kevin Garnett didn't win Finals MVP, he was the best player on that Boston Celtics team, and that did not diminish his championship, because everybody in the world knows that KG's a better all-time player than Paul Pierce, even though Paul Pierce has the Finals MVP. So what? Larry Bird has 3 rings but didn't win Finals MVP in his first Finals, but okay, so what? Larry Bird, he was by far the best player in the 81 Celtics. He just wasn't the Finals MVP because Cedric Maxwell got hot. But if it was a playoff MVP, Larry Bird would have won playoff MVP. And the 81 Finals was actually, I wouldn't even say that was the real Finals, because they played against a Houston Rockets team that won like 40 games. So that real NBA Finals was between the Sixers and Celtics. Both teams won 62 games. Whoever was going to win that series was going to be the NBA champion. So I consider Larry Bird's series against Dr. J the real NBA Finals in my book. But obviously that's the Eastern Conference Finals, but that was the series for the championship. Yeah, in 07 too, Tim Duncan, he has 5 rings, 3 Finals MVPs. But you know what? Tim Duncan would have won playoff MVP if it was 07. Everybody in the world knew he was way better than Tony Parker in 07. Tim Duncan was still like a top 3 player in 07. So, but Tony Parker just destroyed Cleveland because he was hot, and Tim Duncan had one of his worst series. So what? So what? Tim Duncan, like 07 Finals, I mean, against Cleveland. I mean, the real Finals was against the Phoenix Suns that year. And you know what happened against the Suns? Tim Duncan averaged 27 and 14, and he destroyed Amari, Sean Marion, and Nash. So that was the real NBA Finals right there. Tim Duncan, that should have given him the real Finals MVP. I mean, don't tell me the San Antonio Cleveland series, that was not the real NBA Finals. I mean, that Cavs team had 0 shot. So against that Phoenix Suns team, a 61-win Phoenix Suns team, Tim Duncan, he didn't win Finals MVP in 07, but he was by far the best player against the best series in the most competitive series. That series decided the NBA champion, and Tim Duncan was the best. So who cares if he was not the 07 Finals MVP? I mean, real NBA basketball historians know the all-time greats, just how great they were, just how great. So yeah, so Finals MVP Steph Curry, I mean, that's not that big of a deal if he didn't get it. And yeah, I'm reading these comments. Thanks for the compliments. Thanks for the compliments. And that is true. And everybody knows, like 2015, when Golden State won the championship, I mean, Steph Curry probably should have won Finals MVP. He wasn't that bad in the finals. He really wasn't that bad. He just got slowed down by Matthew Dellavedova in games 2 and 3. But he balled out in game 4. He balled out in game 5. He had like 37 points in game 5. And in game 6, he played all right, but Iguodala hit all his shots, and because he was guarding LeBron. But you know what? In the 2015 playoffs, Golden State, when they were playing the Western Conference, against Houston, you know what Steph Curry did to MVP runner-up James Harden? He outplayed James Harden. His team destroyed James Harden's team, and Steph Curry averaged 31 the series before. So what if he didn't win Finals MVP? He was clearly the best player on Golden State. I mean, that Cleveland team wasn't even 100% anyway, so they were very undermanned. And these new lame awards, yeah, it could help. I mean, who the hell voted for Iguodala? Four people voted for Iguodala. Three voted for LeBron. I forget who those four were. You can look it up, but that is pretty absurd that Iguodala won Finals MVP because Steph Curry had a pretty good Finals. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't like he was shooting under 40% from the field. He still averaged 26 points a game, and he won that series. He won. I mean, yeah, Matthew Dellavedova played his butt off in that series in 2015. And you know what happened in 2015? Like in game two, I mean, Draymond had that clutch block on LeBron, but in overtime, Golden State just couldn't get anything going. And Cleveland just survived that game because if Golden State would have won game two, I think the series would have been over in 5 games. Did LeBron deserve that MVP? I mean, it was debatable, but LeBron did all he could, but he still lost in 6 games. And the series wasn't really close at the end. If LeBron would have kept it to 7 games and narrowly lost that, so you could have a case. I mean, Jerry West was the only non-finals champion to win Finals MVP in that same year, and Jerry West almost beat the Celtics. He lost in 7 games, and LeBron lost in 6. So I don't think that was enough, and he got blown out a couple of those games too. So I don't think LeBron should have gotten Finals MVP. I mean, he did all he could for the team, but they still lost, and Golden State was the champion, clearly the champion. So yeah, Kerr benched Curry for 8 minutes in that second quarter. Yeah, that's been Steve Kerr's Achilles heel. I mean, I wonder how analytical Steve Kerr is. I mean, you think Steve Kerr listened to all these analytics people like, oh, you got to rest this player, you got to rest this and that, because when it comes to NBA championships and trying to win, you're not going to rest your superstars. I mean, LeBron James in the NBA Finals, even if he was in the finals right now, he would be playing 43 minutes a game, no question. So Steph Curry, I mean, only 38 minutes in a game like this, he's got to go up to like 41 at least because every minute is valuable. It's where all your best players should play and shine. So if Curry just plays the way he does, he'll just win Finals MVP. But you got to beat Boston. Boston's good. I mean, yeah, Steve Kerr is scared to put his stars out like way longer because he has experienced some injuries. But you trying to win a championship, every minute is valuable. And every minute Steph Curry's on the court, the defense got to be way more alert too. I mean, he can literally tire out the defense. And if he can hit a couple threes, it can be momentum shifting. I mean, Golden State without Steph Curry, they're just nowhere near the same team because he's literally the whole offensive system. And everything's revolved around Steph Curry and how he gets the looks from three. So he's the heart of that Golden State offense. And Golden State is just such a way better team with Steph Curry on the floor. It's almost like LeBron with Cleveland. So with that, yeah, Steph Curry, I mean, is he going to play as well in game two? I mean, there's no doubt that he looks really, really good in the finals, but I think it's going to go 7 games. Based on today, it's just an absolute classic for Boston. And this Boston Celtics team is super locked in right now, and it's getting late, so I'll still stay here for another 5 minutes. Gary Payton II needs to be out there. Yep, he does. He does. I mean, can he bother Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown like Derrick White? I mean, Golden State's got to guard Derrick White. And if Derrick White outplays Jordan Poole in this series, that would be momentum shifting for Boston. That's something no one would have ever thought. So, Boston Celtics could be something special. How about a potential 51 win team winning a championship? So let me scroll through the comments from the beginning. Thank you guys for tuning in this live stream. It's pretty late. It's almost Friday, technically Friday on the East Coast, almost 1 a.m. Poole wasn't in, so Kaminga needed at least 5-10 minutes. I don't see Kaminga or Moses Moody playing unless it was a blowout. I don't think Steve Kerr is confident enough to play his rookies. Game 6 Clay will not come because there will be no Game 6. So are you saying Golden State's going to win in 5 or Boston's going to win or 4 or 5? Yeah, the Celtics defense is legit, but Steph Curry really balled out though. He still did. He still had a pretty solid game, but towards the end, like it was literally one guy on playing against 5 guys, and Boston played more of a complete team than Golden State tonight. Kerr blew it. Yep, Steve Kerr did blow it, and that he did. So Boston Celtic fans probably feeling very, very excited about this, feeling very confident. Draymond Green disrespecting Derrick White and Al Horford and Marcus Smart on the 3-pointers. Yep. And yeah, Draymond, I mean, I just don't like how Draymond tries to be aggressive, like trying to score down low in the paint. Like Draymond Green doesn't have that offensive, like scoring mentality, explosiveness. Like every time Draymond tries to attack the basketball, like inside, like it's not going anywhere. He's just not as athletic anymore. He did look slow. Like he tried to like tip in and try to fight. But I mean, Draymond Green has been so accustomed to just like passing it to his perimeter guys out the perimeter and refusing to take open shots. That's been Draymond for the last like 5 years. Like after Kevin Durant signed with Golden State, Draymond has been very hesitant to shoot the ball in all areas, and Draymond's gonna have to knock down some threes. And he just played terrible from a scoring standpoint. Just 0 of 4 from deep. I mean, Draymond's got to be better than that. 0 of 3 from the free throw line is Draymond. 4 points, 5 assists, 11 rebounds for Draymond Green. He's got to be better than that. And he made Al Horford literally look like unstoppable. Yeah, Draymond Green was a zero on offense, and Al Horford he really outplayed Draymond. I mean, that was the definition of why Boston was able to win this game. Yeah, the Celtics last won in '08. That was their last title. That was 14 years ago. Holy shit. 14 years flies by. Cause I was 14 years old when I was watching that Celtics Lakers finals in '08, and I remember everything about that finals too. So I can tell you who won game 1 and who won game 6 and all that. Every NBA finals, I remember who won which game since I watch. I'm just like that about basketball. So if you guys are still awake to type and ask me some NBA questions, just fire up. I'll still stay for a couple minutes. Don't forget, teamwork always gets it done. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. You talk about teamwork. 2014 Spurs. 2014 Spurs. Oh, the first finals I watched, I would have to say Lakers Nets was the first finals I remember in '02. Kobe and Shaq against Jason Kidd. That was the first finals I watched as a kid, and that was really, really fun. Like Kobe and Shaq just destroyed like the Nets. Lucius Harris, Kenyon Martin, all those guys. I mean, the Lakers swept them. That was like I was really young at that time, and the Yankees was a dynasty in baseball in the early 2000s. So that was the first finals I could remember watching. And maybe as a kid, like my dad was watching some Michael Jordan finals against Utah and all that, and I don't remember anything from that. But I have some like VCR tapes of Michael Jordan in the finals against the Jazz, like back in the day, like those big ass VCR tapes, like this size, like just put it in. I don't even have those TVs anymore, but like there used to be some like recorded games that I have like all the way from like the early 90s. So I watch every one of those games as well. So those were some good memories. My favorite finals, 2013 was an unbelievable finals. I thought that was the craziest finals because it was so intense. Game 6 and 7 were classics. And the 2016 finals, in my opinion, game 7 was the only good game. Every other game was a double digit blowout. I love the 2010 finals, Kobe getting revenge against Boston. I mean, that was like pretty much my time of like the Lakers Celtic era. I mean, even though it wasn't that serious of a rivalry between then, that they had the intensity of that rivalry. So that was an insane NBA finals too. If your Sixers had Tatum, you guys would have won a 1 or 2 titles already with Embiid. That would have been a dynasty. Imagine Tatum and Embiid, but Too bad they went with Markel Fultz. And you know who they traded out Markel Fultz for? Jonathan Simmons. Where's he been? Would you take Jonathan Simmons over Ben Simmons? So Jalen Brown, possibly Finals MVP. If Jalen Brown does win Finals MVP, would would he be top 15? Would you put him top 15 player? I don't think he's that good yet. I still think he has a couple levels to go. But he was aggressive today, and he was making stuff work for Boston. He was the most aggressive player the whole game. Yet Ben Simmons doesn't care about ball. Will Ben Simmons even have a career? Have a better career than Draymond Green? It doesn't seem like it. He's got way better talent and way more athletic, but Draymond just cares so much more about the game. The two Simmons are hiding in the cave right now. You know who's the happiest Simmons right now? Bill Simmons. He's probably on his podcast live talking about, oh, incredible, Boston. I mean, Bill Simmons probably. Bill Simmons probably has one of the most incredible orgy feelings for him. You think Milwaukee will be back in the finals? If they're healthy, yeah, there's no doubt. I think Milwaukee would have probably won it all if Middleton was healthy because they have the size to match up with Golden State. And they got Drew Holiday, who's even a better player than Marcus Smart, and I think probably better on defense as well. And then you have Middleton, who's just as big as Klay Thompson, and you have Giannis, who would just shit on Draymond. He's too strong. Who's Finals MVP off one game? I'm gonna go with Al Horford. Al Horford. I mean, just because he wasn't missing any shots, he was sensational, and he was the one that brought energy and hope for Boston. Al Horford hit all those timely threes because you think about that fourth quarter. If Al Horford would have missed some of those threes, Golden State would have been had the ball. Like Al Horford literally like put Boston like up three. If Al Horford would have missed, you don't know what would have happened. Maybe Curry would have hit a three on the other end, and Golden State would have gotten the momentum back. And Boston just elevated and they just fed off their own momentum to just keep pushing and pushing, which is why they kept up with the 17-0 run. So with that said, yeah, yeah. I mean, injuries are part of the game. It's unfortunate that happens, but yeah, Middleton got injured, but I do think the NBA's future is bright with Giannis, Tatum. If Luka Doncic and Jokic and Embiid can get more help, honestly, I mean, they could all be contending for a title because if Golden State loses this championship to Boston, is the old guys, old superstars, like, is that era going to be over for winning? Like, is time going to be up for the LeBrons, the Steph, and the KDs and the Hardens of the world? Are they just going to be moved to the side and it's just going to be up to 24-year-old Tatum, prime Giannis, prime Jokic, prime Embiid, and 23-year-old Doncic? Is that going to be it? I don't know how good LeBron's son's going to be, but I would say he would be a pretty solid player, but he's still got a long way to go. So I'm not really paying too much attention to that. But you can't, I mean, his son has a lot of pressure. I mean, his dad's literally one of the greats. So lots of pressure, but who knows? Who knows? Yeah, is the media gonna? Who do you think the media will talk more about this summer? Like if Tatum wins Finals MVP, Tatum or LeBron? They probably still talk about LeBron. I mean, LeBron just became the first active player to become a billionaire today. That's a hell of an accomplishment for LBJ. But in game two, what's ESPN or Bleacher Report going to tweet about LeBron? Oh, LeBron tweeting about this game. Oh, LeBron doing this. Like, if you guys can predict what they're going to tweet about LeBron right before the start of game two of this finals, I mean, that would be hilarious because they're probably going to tweet about something. Yep. And why do you think the ratings sucked when LeBron was in the finals against Miami? I mean, LeBron all those years in the finals. How come the NBA ratings has been better these playoffs? Like the highest conference finals in 4 years. Like, what's up with the ratings shooting up? Like, what LeBron was responsible for two of the worst three NBA ratings in NBA Finals history: 2020 Miami, um, Lakers, that was the worst ever. That was disgusting. And LeBron was also part of the '07 Cleveland San Antonio. That was a shitty final. And the other shitty final was San Antonio, New Jersey in 2003. So LeBron has been on some pretty bad ratings. So why do you guys think that is? I love to see why. Yeah. I mean, Skip Bayless probably has better ratings than some of LeBron's NBA Finals games because I mean, Skip Bayless just loves to have people react to his stupid takes, and that's what he is. 2020 was because of the bubble. Yeah, but everybody was home. Everybody was home watching. Nobody was at work. So, yeah, 2020 was a bad time for NBA ratings, basically. Yeah, with that said, almost an hour in, Boston Celtics sensational game one. So I pretty much had everything that I had to say with this. Thank you guys for tuning in to my reaction and staying up late. Hope you guys enjoy a great weekend and get some rest. And with that said, this troll has to be back before I signed off. Let me get rid of him one more time. So I'll see you next time. Peace.